Meantime, in Washington, lawmakers are burning the midnight oil trying to bridge that gap between Republicans and Democrats over a possible fourth round of stimulus. Welcome now one of the key players in that discussion. He is Senator Chuck Grassley, Republican from Iowa, and he's chairman of the Senate Finance Committee. So, Senator, always a pleasure to have you with us. Give us your sense right now of where we are. We have a sense that there's some narrowing the gap, but there's still a ways to go.
Long ways to go. We don't even have a top agreement on the top figure, which is at, Pelosi 6 weeks ago was at $3.5 trillion, I believe. We tabled a bill 10 days ago at $1 trillion. There's got to be some agreement on what we're going to spend before you get into some details, although they're going through the details now. So all this stuff's going on at one time. The last time I had a report on how Mnuchin and Meadows were making out with Schumer and Pelosi was late yesterday afternoon. And I presume they're reconvened today, and I'll get a report about 1 o'clock again. And by the way, you say I'm involved in it. Yes, I'm involved in it, but there's only those 4 people that are at the table. So we'll get a report. Maybe after 2 o'clock I could tell people more, but right now I think the big holdup is the $600 versus the $200 that we have in our bill for the federal enhancement of state unemployment compensation. But I think as far as I'm concerned, Democrats need to start compromising. And as of yesterday, they hadn't moved off of that $3 trillion figure. And then they keep saying that Republicans aren't compromising. We've got something out there, and we're trying to talk to them. Compromise isn't one-sided. We're working for the American people. We got to deliver.
So, Senator, one of the many reasons we love having you on is you've been through a fair number of these before, of different sorts. Is this sort of just the standard par for the course in Washington? You take it down to the last second and then there's a deal made? Or do you have a sense this really may be in trouble? Because I think the markets are really assuming there will be a deal at some number within the next, say, week or two.
I think there will be, but what I don't know is whether or not in the back of the minds of Schumer and Pelosi that if they can get away with doing nothing, will Republicans get blamed for it? If they were certain Republicans were going to get blamed for it, then I don't know whether we'd get a deal, because they want to use all this time and this issue to win the presidency. That's the big game. And of course, what we're trying to do now as Republicans is what we did in March when we passed the first CARES Act. You can call it stimulus, whatever you want to call it. We did it unanimously. Can you believe that? If there was 100 people here, it was 100 to 0. There wasn't anybody against it. And why can't we do that again now? It's the same people hurting. It's the same economy that the government shut down for the first time in the 240-year history of our country. It's our responsibility to open it up. We had unanimous consent to do that, unanimous consent to fight the virus with the same bill, unanimous consent to help the people who are hurting because they're unemployed because of what the government done, and and it's just taking a little bit longer than we're planning. And so this is what this debate is all about now. Why can't it be done unanimously?
Well, how much of it, Senator, in your judgment, is a political calculation? There's nothing wrong with that. Politics is part of democracy. On the Democrats' part, that says you Republicans can't afford not to have a bill. As we go into this election, what are you hearing from your constituents? Are they saying, look, at whatever you have to do, we have to get some help out here in the country?
No. But you see, if you say that Republicans have to have a bill, then you're saying Republicans shouldn't have a position. We ought to just go along with Pelosi. No. This whole business of legislating is the art of compromise.
And you're not getting much compromise from the other side. Let me ask you one specific thing that I know is of concern to you, which is pension reform, particularly multiple employer pension reform. Is that going to be in whatever bill comes out?
unless Pelosi negotiates with me because she wants to get in just a bailout. We bailed out pensions before. My approach, and Senator Alexander is working with me, if we could get Democrats to sit down with us, we could reach a compromise. But if we bail out without the reforms, 5 to 10 years from now, we're going to be right back here with another bailout. The reason these multi-employer pension systems are in bad shape is because the trustees of them haven't run it in a business-like manner. And we've got to put some responsibility on the trustees, and people that are benefiting from the pensions are going to have to kick in a little bit. The taxpayers are going to have to kick in a little bit. The employers are going to have to kick in more. And at the same time, we're also going to help the government pension guarantee program, because it's going to go broken in 2025. And we need to reform these pensions and have the people that run them do it in a business-like way. And that's what our bill is all about. It's taxpayers helping. It's the employers kicking in a little bit more. It's the retirees who, if they don't do anything and go into the government pension program, they're going to get their pensions cut about, I'd say about 75%, because the government doesn't guarantee up to what most of these people are getting. And then, and so that they got to realize that maybe kicking in 6 or 7% out of their pension now is better than getting cut $75,000. But if we do what Pelosi wants to do, we're just going to bail out the whole system, just throw more tax money after it, and then 5 to 10 years from now, you're going to do it again.
So, Senator, finally, as you know so well, better than I, the Constitution anticipates that legislation will begin in Congress and will make its way to the other end of Pennsylvania Avenue. Given what's going on and, as you say, refusal of Democrats right now to compromise, to reach a compromise, are you in favor of President Trump taking it into his own hands by executive order and doing some of the things like unemployment insurance, like the suspension, the moratorium on evictions?
You know, before I answer that question, I got to tell you how I respond to a president that I really appreciate, that he's making a difference here in Washington, D.C., and I like his leadership and most of his programs, but his major problem is he says, I'm going to issue an executive order. The president would be better off if he would say, I'm going to consult with my lawyers and see what I can do under the Constitution and under existing law. And if I've got the authority to do it, I'm going to do what Congress can't do. But he can't just assume because he's president of the United States that he can do anything he wants to. And so my only answer to your question is along the lines of what I just said to you. I don't know whether he has the authority to do it, but if he has the authority to do it, he ought to do it.
Okay, thank you so much, Senator. As I say, it's always a pleasure having you with us. That's Senator Chuck Grassley, Republican of Iowa, and he's the chairman of the Senate Finance Committee.